Welcome to the Long Term Podcast.
Thank you.
Alexa Wall, everyone.
Hi.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
There's the other Alexa speaking. Um, so, how has your faith in Jesus shaped the way you approach health, nutrition, and your daily habits?
I love this question. I've been asked this a lot because usually health and nutrition come from it's very all about yourself and inward focused, where Christianity is about focusing on God and other people. So there's been a lot of times I've kind of like stepped back and I'm like, is this too much like about me? And like, I don't want to spend so much time thinking about myself and like my health. And I want to spend more time helping others and focusing more on God. But I do think there is a part of it too that if we're not showing up as our best selves, we can't really serve people that well either. So I think there is definitely a healthy balance of not letting this become a god in your life, of just obsessing over your food and your nutrition and your working out, but also keeping yourself healthy and active and being able to keep up with people and being able to show up as your best self. And yeah.
Yeah, well, the way I rationalize that is you need to put on your life vest first before you can help others.
Totally.
Like, how are you supposed to help someone stand up when you're on the floor with them?
Yeah.
Right? How do you go about life when you can't even help yourself? Like, when you can't even clean your room, why are you telling other people to get their act together? You know what I mean?
Totally.
So I get that. Well, health, nutrition, yes, it's very individualistic, but for the long term, it's more of a collectivist mindset, and it's what Jesus would have wanted.
Totally.
Right? Yeah. Well, when you say health and nutrition, right, what attracts you to that? Like, when it comes to when connecting that to your faith, like, is there a correlation connection for that?
I feel like there is. My grandma always said, if there's garbage in, garbage out. So if you're eating crap and you're eating just nothing that was made by God, you're just going to feel like garbage. You're not going to want to get up. It even like changes like your mental state also. I don't know if you've ever noticed, like if you eat like a bunch of like junk food through over the weekend, like you just don't feel good. You feel cranky, you feel sloppy. But when you are nourishing your body with whole foods and foods that God created for us, you're feeling more energetic, more alive, more joyful. And I definitely think there is a correlation between the two. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
No, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, what you put into your body is ultimately, what's going to power and fuel your interactions. Now, you see that with a lot of people that, that put in garbage, and they can't regulate their emotions as properly. They can't
Totally.
focus on the positive. And yes, there is like a balance, right? But if you give somebody McDonald's every single day, you're gonna notice. You're just gonna notice a shift in their demeanor, the way they go about things.
Totally.
And were you always into health growing up?
Honestly, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like we grew up always eating meals at home. My mom always prioritized cooking at home. We barely ate out. And when we did, it was like a huge treat. And we were feeling so deprived as a child. We never got like fruit roll-ups or like granola bars, which whatever. I see, I'm like, hey, that was great that my mom did that for us. But I was always interested in it. I think as a teenager, I dealt with really bad skin. I had like such bad acne. I went on different medications and they would work, but then the side effects of like being an absolute maniac and like all these different things, I'm like, I don't want anything to do with this. And so around 20 is kind of when I really got into it. I'm like, okay, like what's causing this? Like, I want to heal the root to this, which is why I think holistic nutrition is really cool. It's just looking at the whole body and like all the different aspects of like stress and lifestyle and what's causing like the inflammation in your body. So I went to a naturopath. He did some blood work and did all the stuff. And I was taking like all these crazy supplements and on this diet, and then my skin cleared up and I'm like, okay, this works. This is really cool. So during COVID, I went to the library and I took out a bunch of books on nutrition, and I was like so excited. Like I wasn't working. I was just at home, like educating myself on all this stuff. And that's when I really got into it. I'm like, hey, I really want to pursue this and I really want to be more educated in this. And so that's when I took my nutrition program, and yeah, it was cool. It's kind of cool to see all like the little things that led
Yeah.
to this. Yeah.
It's cool to look in retrospect, right? Oh, like this is what happened. The reason that I got into this was because I was so worried about my skin, which led to me getting some books and getting more knowledge, led to me strengthening my health, and just everything just happening, coming together. Would you say that faith is a part of health, like to be like truly healthy? Because I know Arthur Brooks says that in everyone there's a God-shaped hole. Like would you say that's? Would you agree with that?
100%. Honestly reading about like mental health and like different things that people go through. Like life is not easy for anyone if you're a Christian or not. And so I think having God help you and like heal you in these different ways. If you're stressed and if you're dealing with trauma and things that you've never dealt with, like it's hard. It's really hard to get healthy. It's hard to lose weight. It's hard to, if you're like dealing with pretty much any symptoms, any horrible diseases like cancers and all this usually stem from a stressful lifestyle. And then with God, a lot of your stress can go away and you can get professional help, even through the church or through like counselors, or I think God's the best counselor. But anyway, yeah, I do think they do come in hand 100%.
Yeah. I think it's just great to know that with all the chaos amidst, the world, there is hope, right? And there is kind of that the person that loves you unconditionally no matter what you do.
Right.
And there's so many people that have said that, oh, they've accomplished this, they've done that have accumulated all this wealth, but they still feel empty. Now, I think that's a result of kind of faith and just not having enough of it, which I think, I'm not going to say that, oh, it is, I'm not going to put it down people's throats and try to make everyone believe, but it's just through action, right?
Totally.
And through living a life that is aligned of God's plan, and hopefully it encourages other people to do the same.
Totally.
Yeah. What do you like have a moment in your life where you're just like, oh, that's the plan, that's it. Yeah.
I think yes and no. Like I think God puts desires. He'll give you the desires that are in your heart. I love that verse. I think it comes from Proverbs. And it says like, oh, God will give you the desires of your heart. Like, no, like he's put those desires in your heart and he wants to give you those. And when you align your life with that, he wants to be there with you doing that. And so I think to answer your question, you do have these promises from God and he wants to make light of them and like make them happen. I think you just have to be very, I don't know, open to that.
Yeah. I certainly feel sometimes doubt, right? And just a lot of insecurity coming in and fear. But the times where I feel empowered and my faith is high, it's like the way I describe it is I could be running through a wall of bullets and I could feel no fear. You know what I mean? Versus I just try to get my faith as high as possible through prayer and then just not letting the world kind of bring me down. And how do you go about trying to strengthen your faith?
That's a great question. There's definitely, I think like a kind of like funny Christian thing is what people say is like we go through different seasons of life and some seasons are harder and some seasons are easier. But to strengthen my faith, it's definitely just spending time with God. It's like if you go to you can't expect to go to the gym like once a week and then be like shredded. Like it just wouldn't happen. And so you can't expect to just go to church on Sundays and expect to have this amazing relationship with God. I mean, no matter what, he's walking beside you. But if you're not going to be intentionally spending time with him, you can't really expect your faith to strengthen just through going to church once a week. So I think it's a daily devotion of reading your Bible for, even if it's just like 10 minutes or spending time in prayer. And I know life can get so busy. And I know a lot of like friends I have, they're like, well, I just don't have time. Like I wake up and I do this and this. It's like, sometimes it's just waking up 20 minutes earlier, like setting your alarm 20 minutes earlier, like getting out of bed, or maybe it's just turning off the music in the car and just praying and be like, hey God, like come in the car with me, like pray with me. Like, what do you want me to like pray for? Who do you want me to pray for today? And I think you can definitely make the time, like just make your whole life like constantly praying, like you're going for a walk, maybe you're washing dishes. And it's like, okay, I'm going to clear my mind. I'm going to turn off the TV. I'm going to turn off all the sound around me and just be still and like listen.
Yeah, it's a great meditation, hey?
Yeah.
You're just, not only are you reflecting, but you have somebody supporting you.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people may say, oh, like, they're not really talking to you. What do you mean? Like, you don't, it's like a feeling, right? And it's just, it comes in like I can't quite describe it. Can you describe it better? Like, how do you, like, when I tell people, like, yes, I feel my faith is high, like I feel like he's here, I just
Right.
don't feel alone,
Yeah.
And I feel that my life is improving and that there's some sort of plan, like hope.
Right.
The hope is there is a
Yes.
big thing that I always try to just is very strong in a lot of Christians,
Mm-hmm.
because without it, then why do we wake up the next day? You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah, yeah. What what does faith mean to you? Right? Because my friend had told me that for him, this is actually really a good uh, explanation for that. It's an action verb, right? Like faith is continuously just, it's like a muscle, right? The
Right.
less you use it, kind of the it atrophies. Like
Right.
for you, what does faith mean?
Well, that's a really big question.
Yeah.
I think faith for me, I mean, I've seen my life. I grew up as a Christian. I went to Christian school. I was like all the things and I never really like got it. And I think there's something really beautiful about people who come to Christ later in life or like in their 20s and kind of like meet Jesus, like, and they don't really have any background in it versus, I mean, both are beautiful, but versus someone like maybe like me who grew up this way and it was always just like, oh yeah, it's there. And I remember like throughout my whole life, like always praying like every night and asking God for wisdom. But there were definitely times in my life where it was just routine. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, like this is like a little piece of me and whatever. And I kind of was watching my life go in a direction that it was sort of hard because like I knew I'm like, hey, I know God doesn't want me to do this, but I feel like this just makes more sense. And the world says this makes more sense. And it was like a constant battle between. And when I was 18, I was going to go to fashion school in Vancouver. And I was like, yes. And I remember praying about it. And God was like, no, like, don't go. And I'm like, and I literally remember saying, I'm like, God, I'm doing this. You can come with me or not, but I'm doing this. And I was getting this dream. I got it twice of like, I wasn't supposed to move there. And I couldn't really shake it, but I was like, oh, whatever. Like, I'm strong enough. I can do it on my own. And I went to Vancouver. I went to go look at a few places to live. I was like full of anxiety and I never get anxious ever. And so I'm like, okay. And I came home and I had this dream again. And I'm like, okay, it's not meant to be. I'm not supposed to be here. And I ended up doing like a 6-month Bible school, which was crazy and just like completely like shook up my life and like gave me this whole new fresh understanding of who God is and like how much he loves us and just like having this lens of seeing people differently. Like every single person you meet, every single person you see on the street was created by God and he loves that person as much as he loves you. And it's so hard sometimes. Like I live downtown and I see a lot of hurt and a lot of scary things. And it's like so cool just to know like, okay, God chose that person and God knows that person, created that person exactly how he made him. And that's so beautiful. And it's so sad to see the sin of this world come into these people's stories. But there's so much redemption. Like you said, being a Christian, there's so much hope. Like it's hard to like wrap my head around. Like I see these like quotes. I was in Indigo the other day, like on journals and like, you're so valuable, like you're so special. I'm like, okay, but as a non-Christian, like why would you think like who's making you special? Like you are special, but you know what I mean? Because I'm like, as a Christian, like, oh yeah, God says I'm special. And like, I have hope tomorrow. Even if every single thing went wrong today, I can still be content and full of joy because I know God's good and that tomorrow is a new day and he's going to use all these things tomorrow and I'm going to learn things from this. And sometimes it takes over a year or 2 or 3 or 10 years to understand why certain things have happened. But when you can just continually be in prayer and asking God those questions, he's gonna speak to you. God is wanting to speak to you more than you are willing to listen.
Yeah. There's this quote of focus on the leaf, miss the branch. Focus on the branch, miss the tree. Focus on the tree, you miss the entire forest. Right? We get so perplexed on the leaf, on like the little droplet that drops on it. We forget that, oh, it's attached to this other segment, which in that segment's attached to this segment, and it keeps
Right.
getting expanded. You can't grasp it. Like you just can't understand the love and the kind of the designs. And yes, there is a lot of sin in the world. There's a lot of hurt. Why did this happen? Why did this little child get cancer? And right, my heart breaks for that. But
Right.
I'd like to think that it was for a reason, right? And it was to instill, to give a lesson, and they're in a better place right now. There is evil in the world, right? I believe that, and some things just happen, and it's like remaining kind of focused onto what you can do to change and I like what you said about even if everything was taken away, you still have that hope, right? That faith to know that tomorrow will be a better day for you to have a better story, for you to change other people's lives and to help. And just the empathy that is built up with just trying to strengthen your faith too is because when your faith is strengthened and you realize that, oh, everybody's made in God's image. And right now I'm not talking about like, oh, you're special, right? You're like, yeah, we're all in a system together. And if one suffers, we all suffer, right? So we need to rise. Like a rising tide lifts all boats. And it's liberating to think that way, right? That you're not alone and you're actually connected. Like the physical is just a test.
Right.
Where yes, there's pain and suffering, but you need to be able to follow God's plan and prove yourself, right? That, hey, no, you can help, that you can do anything, right? And with God's help, you can amalgamate to something beautiful. Yeah.
Totally.
And what do you say to people that are like, Alexa, like, what is this? Like, why do you believe in this stuff?
Sure
Again, again, what the
It's okay, I'm used to it.
So funny. What do you say to people that try to question your faith? Because a lot of people get offended. I don't know if you've ever run into that, but some people, just get irked a different way, right? They get annoyed, right? And like, what do you say to those people?
If I'm gonna be honest, I've never been in a situation where anyone ever like, I don't know, tried to like ask me those kind of questions or like kind of tried to like prove me wrong or whatever. But I think it's also, you mentioned earlier, just like by your actions, like people will know who God is. And I love this. I heard this once in church is like, no one's ever like converted someone. I hate that word, but like by an argument, like, you know what I mean? Like you've never like, if you and I had an argument of different like beliefs, you're not going to win me over. I'm not going to win you over. Like, that's just how it is. And I think it is just by your actions and the way you love people so well. And people will notice that differently. And it's like, I don't know, just being like so confident about it and like not changing who you are no matter who you're around. And yeah, it is really awkward sometimes when you're like talking about church or like, I don't know, when your whole life just becomes like for God. You can't help but not talk about that. Like it just like drips into all your different conversations. And ultimately, like when I'm trying to like give advice to someone, it's sometimes tricky when they're not Christian because I'm like, I don't really know how to give you advice without God's help. And like, honestly, usually I'm like, I'm just going to tell you because you know that's who I am. And so why would I not bring that in? Because like I want to live, like God is with you the whole time. Like, why would you be embarrassed about that? And so I don't know, it is hard. And I am so fortunate to be surrounded by so many Christian people that we can just easily talk about all these things all the time. But it definitely is cool to see like God's putting me in rooms and with different people who like don't believe. And it's like, okay, God, like, what do you want me to like say to them? And how do you want me to love them well? Like, what are little things? And I think it's just being confident about it. And you're like, yeah, I do believe in God and I do believe Jesus died for me and gave us this hope. So why would I ever shy away from that? Like if I'm on my knees at home praying, why am I not acting that way when I'm out with all these other people? So it is hard. And I am really fortunate. I've never been in that way. And I feel like God, I don't know, is building me up. And maybe one day I will be in more places and rooms with more people who don't believe. But yeah.
Yeah. I like what you said about, like, yeah, you're never going to change your mind about someone who's just having an opposing opinion, unless they actually, are in a place where they need to change their framework and they need to go about life a different way. And then they come to you.
Right.
Then that's when you change your mind. Because think about how hard it is to change yourself, right? Now, for others, it's not that easy, right? And it's just, we live in a world where there is a lot of suffering, and you can have so many reasons why not to believe.
Right.
Like there's just a myriad of things, but then that's why you should believe. You know what I mean? Like the dichotomy of it is just, you can help. Like there's the epitome of a human being is to sacrifice yourself. I mean, Jesus did it.
Right.
And I really admire your conviction and to the confidence you have with your faith. How do you do it? Yeah, because like for me, I like, it kind of comes in waves, and like Like I wish I was more faithful. Like I want to be more faithful, but it's just kind of the ebbs and flows sometimes. I kind of just lose it sometimes. And I'm still journaling, I'm still praying every night, but
Right.
I just don't feel like he's there sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, how do you have so much conviction and confidence?
Well, doesn't come overnight, but
Yeah, you said, yeah.
but I think with that too, like how you're saying sometimes you just don't feel like he's there, is just like praying for like, God, make yourself present. Like show me that you're there. And like asking all those big questions. Like even like a few weeks ago, I was like almost like not doubting God, but kind of doubting God. I'm like, God, like you promised me these things. You put these desires in my heart. Why am I not seeing them? Why am I still living here? And like what like XYZ? And I just feel like I'm like answer my questions, like asking him these big questions, but like allowing him time to answer them. Because I feel like so often we're praying and we're asking, and then we just finish praying and we go on our phone and we scroll. Like we don't give that kind of time for God to respond to us. And yeah, I mean, I go through doubts. I go through times where I'm like, what? Like I'm almost 25. This is not where I thought I would be. But cool to just know. And honestly, there's so much in the Bible just to like read and relate to. And even the story of Joseph of like, he was given a dream. God gave him a dream of his brothers and his like his dad and his family like bowing down to him, and he's like, "You're gonna be king." And then years later, like he's still in a field, like slinging rocks and doing like whatever, and gets sold into slavery. He's sitting in a prison, and he's like, "What? Like, but God, you gave me these dreams. Like, I don't understand why. Why am I here?" But he was faithful and he worked hard and he just kept pursuing. And I don't know if you're familiar with the story of Joseph, but he's in this prison, and these guys who were in the castle and like working in the kingdom with the king, and Joseph had just been working with the king as well. Um he got into prison, whatever. Long story short, he was still obedient and was like, these guys were having dreams, and he's like, hey, like God can answer your dreams, and like was still loved God and still believed in God so hard. And like it was beautiful just to see how the story came out and how he ended up being like second power over all the country, and really cool. And just to hold on to that, like even if there's like years that you go by and you're like, God, I don't get it, like why am I still walking through this and why am I doing this, and asking him, being like, God, would you like forgive me, like repentance like every day, and like what do you want me to do tomorrow like differently, and like who do you want me to reach out to? And it's those little things, and it's hard and it's uncomfortable. And like I remember one time even just being outside of a store and God's like, I want to go talk to that lady. I'm like, that is so awkward. I do not want to do that. But I did. I actually went to my car. I'm like, I'm not doing that. But I did. And I went and talked to her, and it ended up being this beautiful conversation. She's like, wow, like I really needed someone to talk to today. And I was like, I can't believe I almost just gave that up because I was too embarrassed to go over there. And honestly, it's okay to be embarrassed. It's okay. Like, what do? You shake it off and you don't even remember it in a few minutes. So yeah.
When you say God puts desire in your heart, what do you mean by that? Like God guide me
Mm-hmm.
to want certain things. Like how does that work?
I
Like,
think, well, I'll bring it back to you. What are your like dreams? What are your
me,
hopes?
I want this podcast to keep going, to have conversations like these.
Right.
I want to, be financially free. I want to help others, help my family first, then local, then province, and then city,
Right.
and or city, then province, and then country. That's my hopes and dreams, to be able to run like 100 miles in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I want to be able to prove to others that there is hope, that there's a place for them. And I think that's
Right.
the motto of the long-term podcast.
Right.
So how do I go about talking to God and asking for help?
Right. I think with that, you ask God, like, okay, why did you put these desires in my heart? And how are you going to use them for your glory? And how are you going to use me to further the kingdom with these things? And I feel like so often it just feels so overwhelming. Like it's so cool to have dreams and hopes. And you're like, okay, so what do I do tomorrow to get there? And how do I achieve that? And what is like, and a thing for us, I mean, at least for myself, it's like, I want a 5-year plan. I want a day-to-day checklist on how I'm going to get there. And I think those things can be so valuable, but also looking back at my life, like there's been curveballs. I've like met people that opened other doors. And I'm like, I remember last year I woke up and I was like, God, I literally don't know how you did it, like how you got me here, but I wouldn't have even dreamt of this. Like, this is crazy. And I think it's just like those little acts of obedience. And even when things don't make sense, like maybe you get some crazy some broadcasting production team's like, hey, like we want to take you on, and you're praying about it in your quiet time, and God's like, no, like that's not where I want you. But you're like, but it just makes so much more sense that I should just do it. But if God's like, no, like I have so much better for you, like that's hard. Like that's so uncomfortable. And you're like, but that doesn't make sense. But being obedient in that and knowing that when you are obedient to what God's telling you, he's going to give you even better. And so maybe you say no, and then another door opens and you're like, wow, like I can't believe this happened. Like I could tell you story after story that's happened. I'm like, it's so annoying in the moment. You're like, but it just makes sense. Like, and I feel like God's like just being like, okay, like what are you gonna do? You're gonna listen to me, or you're gonna listen to your own flesh. So finding the desire is just like sitting down and asking God, like, who do you call me? Like often I'll pray, I'm like, God, as your daughter, what are the names you've given me? And he'll give me these names and I write them down. I'm like, okay, how do you want me to use this? How do you want me to pursue a career? How do you want me to live my life with these words? And how am I going to do it? And honestly, sometimes I'm laying in bed, I'm like, I don't get it. Like, you call me these things and what? Like, I'm so confused. But then it like slowly makes sense, and he opens doors and you start working in these jobs and you start meeting these friends. And then a year later and you're like, wow, like I remember he said these things and now I'm here. And like, I didn't even realize it. And like just giving glory to God in that and praising him through that.
That's incredible. Yeah, I could tell you have an entire system. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you journal a lot?
Oh, every day, every single morning. Yeah.
First thing, get a morning routine.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, in a world with constant distractions and pressures, how do you stay spiritually grounded and make time for your relationship with God?
That's a great question. Honestly, like every morning I try to spend. I mean, it's different. Sometimes I only have like an hour from the time I wake up to the time I have to leave, but I always try at least 10, 20 minutes. And again, waking up maybe 15 minutes early of just sitting in it and just praying. And sometimes I ask God, I'm like, God, like how do you want to spend these next 20 minutes together? Like, do I just pray? Maybe I'm reading my Bible. And it often is journaling. And I feel like journaling is kind of goes hand in hand with praying. Like, I feel like I often just write out my prayers and pray that. And yeah, kind of like what we touched on before, like having just constant prayer in your life, like you're washing dishes, you're walking to your car, you're driving, you're waiting at the doctor's office. Like, okay, God, like I'm going to pray for that random person over there. And like, you just in your head, pray for them. And like all those little things of like constantly just bringing it into your routine. I mean, we all are living busy lives. And I do think there's a lot of something beautiful about just slowing down your life and saying no to other commitments to maybe have more time of that. And I think a huge thing too that I've seen a change in my life in the last 2 years is surrounding yourself with good community, spending maybe more time at church, volunteering, joining a group. And I don't know, I used to like feel like church was like one thing I just like checked off my like weekly to-do list. And now I like look forward to it. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to go. I can't wait to like see all my friends and all these people. And again, the garbage in, garbage out, like when you surround yourself with people who are like-minded and love God and are running in that direction, you're going to start running that direction. Like, I love the quote when they're like, yeah, show me your 5 friends and I'll show you your future. I'm like, I remember listening to that at one point in my life and I'm like, ooh, like I don't want my future to look like that. And now I like think about like who I've like, so I like who God's brought me, like who I surround myself with. I'm like, okay, yes, like that is who God's called me and that's the direction I want to go to, because you are so influenced by the people you surround yourself with.
It's like the little things too. Like,
totally.
Do they complain about like the struggles? Do they actually do anything about it?
Yeah.
What do they do? Do they work out or just watch Netflix? Do they just numb their minds scrolling on TikTok every day?
Totally.
Or do they actually pray? Do they time block and actually go towards productivity, towards living a life worth living?
Yeah.
And there's all these things that make someone them, and you can feel the energy around people. You know, like you can feel the if they're authentic or not.
Totally.
And I was the same way, where in high school I'm not innocent either. Like, I was part of the problem, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I was surrounded by people who just constantly wanted to party all the time, who constantly just wanted to drink and do drugs. And when we weren't doing that, playing video games, and like, are we building anything? Like, no, we're just destroying things, destroying our minds, destroying our spirits, waking up the next day hungover. We're not building anything. Whereas now, like, I go to the gym and I'm amongst people who want to build themselves up, like mentally, physically, spiritually, around people who actually have a story coming on the podcast and just can actually have a long form conversation, right? Not just the hey, how's your day, Alexa? It's like the actual, like, deep questions about, oh, what are you spending time thinking about? Like, that's why I ask people when they come on the podcast, like, what are you 3 most passionate topics? And usually in those 3 topics, that's what they do. That's what they think about 24/7, right? And it shows who that person is, what they're good at. Like, of course, like, maybe they just don't want to talk about a certain topic, but these 3 topics make them who they are. They're an expert on it.
Right.
I could clearly tell, like, faith is something that you've actively invested in, and it's just given back dividends throughout your livelihood, right? And I could see, like, the energy and, like, the vibe that you give off, and, like, how you want other people to be better, how you want to be better as well, and the relationship you have with God. It's remarkable. It's awesome. Definitely no overnight feat.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
What's a Bible verse or spiritual principle that you come back to when you're feeling overwhelmed or disconnected?
Oh, I love this question. Definitely Psalm 23 always comes to my mind. And it's, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He's given me everything I need. He makes me lie down in quiet pastures. His rod and his staff, they protect me. And I love just like the visual of like seeing Jesus like with a rod and a staff, like one's for guiding and one's for protecting. And oftentimes if I'm laying in bed and it's been like a day or something's happened and you like lay down and your like brain's going like you're like like watching what you said, or you're like, oh my word, what I said. Or like you're like feeling so overwhelmed, or maybe the next day there's so much going on and you're just laying in bed and you can't fall asleep. And I just picture Psalm 23 and he makes me lie down in quiet pastures. Like I pictured like a meadow and this like, I mean, you can picture whatever you want to picture, but I picture this like white bed with like a fluffy duvet, and it's just like calm and quiet, and he's protecting around. Like you don't have to worry about anything around you, and he's just bringing peace and knowing that like you are just wrapped up in his arms and he's protecting you and he has you. And so often I always comes back to that. And I just like picture like this meadow and like the quiet waters and the stream. And honestly, I'll like be thinking about this and I instantly fall asleep. It's like the best sleeping hack. Like forget your melatonin. This is what you need to fall asleep. But yeah. And so often it just gives me peace. I'm like, you know what? I am like, God is so much bigger than my issues. God is not worried about my issues. Like God does not fear things that I'm fearing. Like he's just like chilling. Like he's like, why are you stressed out about this? Like you don't think I can handle that? Like I created the entire world. Why can I not fix your silly little problem? But yeah. What about you? Do you have one that comes to mind when you're
2 Corinthians 4:16, is it? It's, therefore we shall not lose heart, though our outer self is wasting away, yet our inner self is being renewed day by day. And like a lot of the fears that people have, including me, like aging, kind of deterioration of the health, losing an arm, losing a finger, kind of just being shunned by community because of the way you are. You're just being obsolete, right? Being irrelevant. And that's kind of a fear that I have. All these scars from living every day, the wrinkles, right? My mom is like really obsessed with staying young. She's like, oh my God, like since I was 5, like, look, my hair is falling out. And like, you look beautiful, Mom. Like I'd be like 5. Like I'm 5. Always put lotion on, little Advent. And then here I am, just like, oh gosh, I'm gonna be old. Like, what am my career one of these days? Like, what am I gonna do? And so I go back to that and go, therefore we should not lose heart, though our outer self, right, is wasting away, yet our inner self is being renewed day by day. Our spiritual self is being strengthened. It's being tested by all these chaotic forces, but you don't let it interfere with your relationship with God, with yourself, and you're still trying to reinforce what's within. Because you could have all these accolades of status, prestige, looks. You could have the best, team, you could own the biggest business, you could win big. But if the inner self isn't calibrated properly, right? And you can even apply this to people who aren't religious. If you don't like what's within, what's the point of everything externally? It's all BS then. You know what I mean? It's you got to keep working on what's within, because that's what ultimately matters, you know?
It's so true. I love this thing I saw on Instagram the other day, or maybe a few months ago, and it was just talking about like no one's gonna remember your outfit, your like job, like any of these things. Like
I love that.
They don't care if like you're fat, if you're skinny, like all these things are like they're gonna remember you and like what you brought and how you made other people feel. And I feel like that was just like, wow, like just takes off so much pressure of so much stuff in the world. Like they don't care what kind of house you have, what car you drive, like people love you for you and like what's inside of you, and whatever is in your heart is gonna overflow like out of your mouth. And so
yeah, it's like no, Advin, yeah, he had the best golf swing. Like no, like he showed up, he was there for me when I was down, made me smile. He was compassionate, loving, didn't judge me for when I judged myself. It's those types of things, which is so hard because society programs us to just look at Hollywood, to look at like the business moguls and go, yeah, that looks so great. That's awesome. Like I want to be rich, famous, and attractive. But no, like ultimately what I've realized is what truly, truly matters is invisible. You know?
Right, true.
And what kind of, yes, there's like health metrics. Like, yes, you can see somebody like has, you know, a tumor, but like ultimately, like after they pass, right, it's all about the virtues. It's all about what they said. It's the things you can't see, the memories,
right?
The moments, you know, which we get so caught up in going, oh my gosh, my wrinkles, you know, my smile, my teeth. But then it's like, no, we can't keep suffering in our minds, you know. It's just let that all go and just accept reality, you know.
Totally.
But with living a healthy lifestyle, what does healthy living mean to you beyond just food and fitness, and how do you make it sustainable in the long run?
Ooh, besides fitness and food, a great question. I do think it just comes down to stress again, like your mental health. And I loved learning so much about that in school. And we read books about people who've dealt with trauma or who haven't dealt with trauma, and like they're having multiple like physical health issues because of their mental health issues, and how get down to the root cause of things. And honestly, like so often I've seen this through and through of like people who are struggling with weight loss, and they're like, I don't get it. Like and even myself included, like I'm working out this much, I'm eating healthy, I'm in a deficit. Like I don't get it why I'm like gaining weight. Like why am I so holding on to this? And it's like, well, what does your life look like? Like how is your relationships? Like, do you have friends? Are you in community? Are you lonely? Are you these things? And there's always a correlation. There's always something there. And so I think if you're going to not include food and nutrition, the mental health aspect of it, and I think that's where faith comes in so much too, that if you're not dealing with like the inside, you can't expect to have a good outside and a good health.
Yeah. Back in 2020 and 2021, I was like overworking myself. I didn't really have time for anything. I did work out. I looked fit, but there would be phases where I just hit so much burnout that I didn't have any control with my eating. I guess I probably would have been diagnosed with like, you know, some sort of like bulimia, because I would consume 3,000, 4,000 worth of calories, and then I wouldn't vomit. I'd run it all off. So I'd be running half marathons, but deep inside it was all just because of stress accumulation.
Right.
But like externally I was fine, but I was not happy. You know, I was like stressed, and it was not doing well for my health. I probably aged like 50 years in the span of like a couple of years. But yeah, it's stress is so big. Hey, like, are you getting enough sleep? Are you like what you said about like going through that verse, right? Where you're there's a moment that happens and you're just like sitting on the edge of your bed going, how do I shut this off? How do I just give my problems, you know, to God, right?
Totally.
And to just have some sort of outlet, right? And to go about it holistically. I know that's your thing, to
Yeah.
like look at it from like a relationship standpoint, because we could be doing everything except you have a bad relationship with your mom.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about fixing that? Maybe you look in the mirror all the time and you're trashing yourself. Like the self-talk isn't there. It's like
Mm-hmm.
these things of maybe you just don't stretch, right? It's all these things that you do, and chances are, right, if it's usually for most people, if it works, then it's probably going to work for you. And you just have to, there is this small chance that it may not work for you though. You know what I mean? Like there's all these different verses, all the different stretches, all these different programs, but it may not necessarily work for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Because I've gone through so many different diets, so many different workouts, so many different kind of mental health systems, and a lot of them didn't work. But then I found intermittent fasting, which is just great for me. Just a weightlifting routine of like 4 to 5 times a week and cardio every day, sauna here and there. And like I've never been happier,
Cool.
And of course there's gonna be times where you will feel down, and this is part of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Many people feel like they have to overhaul their entire life just to be healthy. What are some simple, actionable changes you recommend for someone just starting?
I remember in my nutrition course, like learning about like hormone disruptors and like your endocrine system and how your candles, how your perfume, how your toothpaste, how your floss, like everything's gonna kill you because it's all full of
microplastics,
all the PFAs,
carcinogens.
the like. And I remember being like so overwhelmed and like being like, my detergent, my sheets are made of synthetic fibers, like I'm gonna die. And it's like it's so overwhelming, and especially if your algorithm starts picking up on these things, you're like, I can't live. Like, I can't even get in this person's house. Like, I can't touch the floor with my bare feet. Like, I can't. Like, it was like, oh my goodness, like so much like coming on. And I was like, okay, the reality is, if you're going to eat the most healthiest lifestyle and work out every single day and do whatever, or if you're going to be a couch potato and eat junk food, you're both going to die. Like, you might live a few more years, but you're both going to die. Like, you're not going to be a superhuman. And so I think just being like, okay, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. But I think coming back to that is, you don't need to overhaul everything. One, that's so expensive. It's going to be so overwhelming. You're not even going to know where to start. Like, there's so much. And there's some things like, I don't live perfectly. Like, I don't know. Like last night I ate chips and dip at the Oilers game. And I was like, who cares? Like, I'm not eating it every single day. Like, it's fun. I'm with friends. It's community. It's eating together. And I think it's just like the little things like, okay, you finished your toothpaste. What's a better option? Like maybe you home make your toothpaste so it's cheaper, or like what's one that's like a little less bad ingredients. And after that, like maybe your cleaner runs out. Okay, what's a better option? So I think it's just replacing slowly little things. And honestly, in this economy, everything is so expensive. And so maybe like figuring out like what are the things that I want to change and what are the things I'm okay with not. And personally, it always comes down to food. I'd rather spend more food of things I'm consuming and putting in my body versus like cleaners or other things, or like even like, it's so hard because there's so many different things. But I'm like, I'd rather eat a really healthy food and put my money towards that, and then maybe buy like a generic launch detergent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of got to pick. And if you don't have to, that's amazing. But I would rather put more money into my food and things I'm putting into my body than other things. So with that being said, like you can home make a lot of things. It takes more time, but it's worth it, I think.
Yeah. I was the same way, where I listened to this podcast with this professor, or she had a PhD, so everything she said was she talked about microplastics being everywhere. So like water bottles, just like everything, my saran wrap. So I looked at my fridge and I saw everything had microplastics. I opened my pantry, everything had plastics. Like, and so she went to like worst case scenario, and apparently there's like microplastics in like polar bears now, because it's
I heard
just
even in like women's placentas.
Yeah,
like they found
I'm like, in the brains of some people. And then I was thinking about that, and it really stressed me out. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, I can't eat anything. I'm gonna die. And then she talked about parfum, like the chemical. I looked at the ingredients, and every single skincare product, I had it. Like all the fragrances and everything.
Uh,
And I'm just like, oh gosh, like I've been using this for like a decade. Like, there goes my ability to have kids, you know?
mhm.
But then I realized that, I can just do a little bit at a time. I can't just
Mhm.
throw away everything. Right?
Yeah.
I'll finish the product. I'll, you know, I won't ever use water bottles that are plastic. I'll just switch to metal. Right. And
Right.
if I have to use saran wrap, so be it. Right.
Yeah.
I'll have to consume saran wrap. I'll have to use that, cologne. I'll have to, I'll just have to be a human. I
Right.
can't just be a monk. Like there's all these different, I don't know if you've explored like other traditions of like meditation, like Buddhists that say like, oh, you don't need anything, materialism. You
Mm.
just need to meditate in a temple. But like a lot of like the worst case scenarios are like unrealistic, very unrealistic.
Mhm.
So you just need to do your best to just, yeah, like you said, like a little bit of toothpaste. If you don't want to consume that brand because it's bad for you, then make your own or switch to a different product and do it little
Right.
by little, because true change happens with like little iterations. It doesn't happen from like one big thing, right? And
Totally.
like the food of like I like to call it the 4 or 5 pillars, like sleep, that's massive, diet, exercise, social connections, and then I'd add faith there.
Yeah.
So as long as you get that 5, then you're fine.
Yeah.
You'll be good. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Like
It's so true.
yeah, because a lot of people go, oh, like I don't have time. Like if you don't have time to exercise, go for a 20-30 minute walk. Right?
Yeah.
They can do a couple push-ups. You can get the heart running. If you don't have time to prepare for anything healthy, hire someone, or I don't know, just maybe schedule a different diet or like intermittent fasting. Maybe you could section off foods in different times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, totally.
yeah. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, like, even with like the meal prepping thing of like, yeah, if you can like hire someone, do it. But if you can't, maybe spend like an hour meal prepping one thing. Like maybe meal prep like a protein or like a few proteins, like maybe like chicken and I don't know. I only really like
Rice.
chicken and rice.
Potatoes,
Yeah, there
yeah.
you go. And just make enough to last you the week. And then every dinner, you can like make a salad with it. You can make tacos with it. Like you can make all these different things out of one thing you've meal prepped. And I feel like it's a lot less like complicated than it needs to be. Honestly, ChatGPT, awesome. You're
Yeah.
like, make
Yeah.
me a meal plan that's simple, easy, using these 5 ingredients for the week. And let me tell you, like, nutritionists are gonna be out of their work soon. But it's awesome. Like, I use it all the time when I'm cooking for people. And I'm like,
Hey.
okay, these are the ingredients in the fridge, make me a recipe. And they hit every single time. I've gotten so many comments like, this is so good. Like, where'd you get this recipe? I'm like,
My
ChatGPT.
friend, you ever see those memes about like me and ChatGPT lately?
We're like, yes, all the time. And it like comes up. I'm like, yeah.
I always say
guilty.
please and thank you.
Oh,
That's what I always say. Yeah. Apparently I'm
we
getting
want the
it.
robots to be happy with
Yeah,
us.
no. On the feed, I'm seeing like, yeah, AI is becoming like sentient. They're like questioning life. And I'm like, oh gosh,
Whoa.
like I have to be nice to them.
That's so funny.
You were one of the good ones. Okay. Like I can see the chats here. Because like some people are like really bossy when it comes to ChatGPT. Like exclamation mark, period. They don't even spell it right. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm polite.
He always knows what I say, even if it's not spelled right.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, he knows me better than I know myself. That's
funny.
How do you balance listening to your body with staying consistent in your health routines?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think, again, your body goes through different phases and maybe you start exercising more. And I've recently started a gym 3 months ago, and I've like now incorporated more running now that it's summertime. And I find myself always hungry. Like I am like constantly like looking for food, and I'm like constantly hungry. I'm like, wow, I used to never have an appetite like this. And I kind of clicked. I'm like, well, I'm burning probably an extra 600 calories more than I was before, and I need to refuel and like different things like that. And I think in the wintertime, like I'm not walking as much. I'm like, I honestly hate running on a treadmill, so I'm not really running. I love to run in the summertime, and then I don't eat as much. And like there's different things. And I think different eating seasonally is so great. Like in the summer, like the fresh fruits and veggies and raw and all these things. In the wintertime, like we don't have access a lot to that. So it's like eating maybe more cooked veggies and more soups and warm things. And I don't know, just kind of like feeling your body. And honestly, like try out different diets if you want. Like you said, you've tried intermittent fasting. I think that's an amazing tool. And for women, it doesn't always work as great as it does for men. Like, try it. And if you don't like it, if you're hungry, if you're angry, if you're all these things, like, don't do it. Like, what works for you won't work for me. Like, I've tried veganism for a month, hated it. But for those who feel good on it, do it. Like, just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it won't work for you. All of our bodies are so uniquely designed. And that's why, I don't know, like different workout routines. Like, I tried the Pilates. I'm like, yeah, it's fun, but not really for me. And I would do CrossFit and I love it. And my body feels good and I feel happier and healthier.
It's hardcore CrossFit.
Oh, it is so fun. Like, I drank the Kool-Aid and it tasted so good. But again, everyone's so uniquely different. And that's why there's so many diets out there. That's why there's so many different types of workouts and different things. And like, honestly, for some people, like maybe you just want to walk. Like maybe you're just going to commit to walking 1 hour a day and like you don't want to hit weights. Like, that's so. I'm like, well, I don't know if that's okay, but you should still hit weights. But you know what I mean? Like, everyone's so diverse that doesn't really answer your question. How I say consistently, but I think you're constantly changing in different stages of life. And I mean, like, once I help watch some little kids, and like when life gets busy, like you have to sacrifice something. So how are you going to add it into your routine? And like you feel different. So maybe you start taking a supplement. Maybe you start like making smoothies in the morning because you don't have time to make breakfast. Like, there's all these little things, and like I think people just need to know, like, it's okay. And like what you see on Instagram is fake. It's not real. Like, these like people who have all these routines, like they probably don't live like that most of their days. Like even I've made reels and I've like cut them up and I've done things. I'm like, and people are like, wow, like you live such a productive life. I'm like, yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, I made one of those actually in my fitness account. I have like 9 a.m., wake up, make my bed, journal, green tea, out in the sun. And it's like, even that day, like making that video was like 3-4 hours. If it actually like, if I had like a little Truman Show, like you ever seen that movie? It would just like be me like editing like in between, like setting up the camera for hours. It's like that's very unnatural, unrealistic.
Totally.
But and yeah, there's gonna be days where just maybe you get a different job, you know, maybe you have a kid, you get married, you get divorced, or
you go on vacation, or you're like, it's okay. Like, I think people get so anxious about things, and honestly, that anxiety will cause so much more health issues. Like, just chill.
Yeah, chill the out.
Just relax. Take it easy.
You'll be fine. You'll live.
Yeah.
You know? You miss the journal, like you're not gonna die. Yeah. Like I used to be the same way where I'm like, oh gosh, I missed prayer. I missed the journal. That means everything is gonna start toppling over, and like I'm gonna be so behind on everything. And it's just like, no, like I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So you're setting up for the marathon on August, eh?
Half marathon.
Oh yeah.
I committed to the full, and then I went for a 5K. I'm like, maybe a half.
I'm sure you could do a full.
No. And even today I ran 7 kilometers and I'm like, maybe a 10.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was so funny. This is so off topic, but there was some kind of planned race today that people were doing. And I was like, I had no idea. So like probably like 5 minutes and I see some people with like their little, like, I forget what they're called, like the number things. And
like the bib.
The bib. Yeah. And I was like, there was like 2 or 3. I'm like, oh, okay. And then all of them. And I ran through the race and it was so awkward. And like, I'm like, surely they don't have like the same path as me. And I came around the corner. I like ran through the finish line backward. I'm like, this is so awkward. And they're like, the people like organizing, like, are cheering me on. I'm like, this is so awkward.
Wait, that was this morning?
Yeah. And I was going like, oh, it was so bad. And I'm like, so
You're
funny.
Pretty much
though.
one of the contestants.
And I'm like, I was like so tired. And I'm like, I can't stop running now. Everyone's watching.
That's so funny.
I like went around the corner like
That's
I'm
too
done.
Good. Must have been like a 10K or something around the.
Yeah, I don't know, because my loop is 8K, so I don't know I think they might have done it twice, because I saw like people twice, and I'm like, I don't know what's going
15,
on.
16K?
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, off topic.
Well, congratulations on
thanks, I know.
the run. There's so much nutrition advice online. How do you help people cut through the noise and eat in a way that feels nourishing, not stressful?
That's a great question. And it is so overwhelming. And I think this is why I've kind of stopped consuming a lot of content, especially around nutrition. I think it can be like really great to, I don't know, like little tips of like how to meal prep, or like, oh, if you're dealing with this, like maybe try this, but it can get so overwhelming. And then you're like, oh my word, I don't even know where to begin. But I always come back to, as like, okay, if God created it, I'll eat it. And if God didn't create it, you shouldn't eat it. And it's kind of just that. Like if you go to the grocery store and like, honestly, I spend so much time in a grocery store just reading labels. And if you don't know what ingredients are, like, don't buy it. Like, why do you want to be eating things you don't know what they
You're just
are?
there
Like,
for reading for fun, just in your spare time.
Like, honestly, yeah. But it's like crazy. Like even in like the health food section, like most of it's garbage, like full of like crappy oils and like synthetic ingredients. And yeah, so I think I always come back to whole foods. Eat, if you can see the food, eat it. Try to make as many meals as you can at home. And I'm not talking about like buying a pre-made pizza and putting it in the oven. Like that is not eating at home. That is still takeout. So just like buying ingredients, and it doesn't have to be crazy. Like chop up some veggies and like cook some chicken and have a good sauce. Like have like a few key recipes that you have and just have them on rotation. Like it might feel overwhelming, and a lot of people are like, well, I'm not a good cook. I'm like, I was a private chef for a year. I had no idea how to cook when I started. Like I was on FaceTime with my mom with a raw chicken. I'm like, I don't know what to do. But you just learn. You just do it and you try things. You're like, okay, this didn't work. And you kind of get excited. You're like, okay, like, and you kind of put things together. Cooking is so easy. Just have a bunch of different seasonings, and I don't even know how I cook. I just add things until it tastes good, and then there you go.
Yeah. I like what you said about like when you first started, you didn't know what to do being a private chef. And that reminds me of when you want to truly learn a language, you go to the country itself.
It's so
and then
true.
you learn exponentially, because then you have to buy bread and you have to buy meat and you have to interact with the cab driver or like the Uber.
Totally.
And then you're just gaining so much knowledge. But if you sit down, you kind of just passively scroll through the words, you won't learn as much. If you just hop right in and just do the thing. Because I took a psychology of learning class of learning and teaching, and like throughout all the research, it's always been active learning. Like a lot of people say that, oh, I'm better with my hands. I'm a visual learner. I better. Like, no, you just learn better when you're actually doing it, when you're doing the action, because your entire body's integrated. So if you're learning how to cook, then just cook. You don't need to, yes, you need to watch a video for like maybe a little reference, but just do it. Or like if you want to get into weightlifting, just go to the gym, do some sets here and there. And eventually, you're going to suck at the start with anything, right?
That's true.
But eventually you get better. Yeah. And then eventually amalgamates to something where you look back and you go, oh, I didn't know how to do that. Now I do. And then it just, all these little iterations build up to something so beautiful. And it's like, we don't give ourselves enough credit. You know what I mean? Because like a year ago, like there's no knowledge in this realm, but then through interactions and through running, right, and getting maybe shin splints, getting the different shoes, and then seeing that you don't like in the winter, you just learn so much about the sport itself and running, that now you're just like, oh wow, like I got a whole system, right? When it comes to babysitting, nannying, like you just know how to talk to kids. Like when at first you're just like, oh, I don't know as much, maybe you do, but it's like the knowledge that you build up over the years just build up. A lot of people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. Like throughout the years, you just accumulate so much, and it's just by submerging yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
What are your go-to meals or staples that are both healthy and easy to prepare for busy people?
Oh, that's a really good question. Again, I use ChatGPT a lot for meal inspiration.
Wow.
I use Instagram a lot for meal inspiration. There's a few girls that I like to follow, and a lot of their meals are super easy. I feel like my top few meals that I can throw together really fast is like a Thai chicken salad. You can buy like the pre-made chopped up cabbage. You make a little peanut sauce, mix it all together, cook your chicken up, and delicious. Like so easy, so good. I love making soups in the winter time, just putting in the oven a bunch of veggies, making it a tomato soup. It's so easy. You put it in your oven, let it cook, put it in your blender, and then you have soup. Like it's so easy. And I feel like there's like all these little things that's like, wow, like you make a little extra and then you'll have leftovers. You'll have meals for the rest of the week, or you put it in the freezer for like a day that you can't cook. I think that's a big thing too. If you're cooking, make double and then freeze half of it, or like eat it throughout the week. It's like, I love leftovers personally. the salad, the soup. And honestly, I feel like I love just throwing together a salad, putting together random things in like the fridge, like maybe have nuts, seeds, vegetables, maybe have like parsley or mint, or kind of just throwing a bunch of stuff together and mixing up like your own dressing, cooking up some meat and the meal.
Yeah. And if you're hungry enough, anything. What was that? Donut. And if you're hungry enough, anything tastes good.
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
It's like a lot of people go, oh, like, but healthy food, it doesn't taste good. You know, it's so I'd rather have the cheeseburgers and the fries. And like, I'm like, dude, if you just stop eating as much, give it some time, the healthy food tastes glorious, you know?
It's
And
so true.
if you suck at cooking, like your cooking tastes 10 times better, you know, if you're just hungry enough.
It's so true. And then you'll start to crave those things. Like probably in these last 2 years is when I've really cut out like most junk food. Like I still don't live like in fear. Like if you're out and like your only option is a cheeseburger, whatever. Cheeseburgers are delicious, but it's interesting, like your body starts to crave healthy foods. And I feel like I find myself, if I'm on vacation for a week and we're constantly eating out, like all I crave is to eat at home and eat my own food and like eat just nourishing food. So it does come a time and like your palate does need to change. But once you change it, you're not going to crave the crap anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know Andrew Huberman? He's big into the health space.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, I love him. He talks about just like processed food. The more intake you have of that, it just makes you crave more high sugary, high sodium, just more processed food, and the less satiation you get. So, and it actually makes you more hungry. So not only is it just calorie rich, but it's low fiber, low vitamins, just low everything, and it's just makes you lethargic. So it's all cons rather than like the initial like boom burst of dopamine in your system.
Right.
But then when it comes to like almonds, carrots, like whole foods, it's really difficult to overeat because nobody has time to chew that much. You know?
True.
Like I noticed with me, since everything that I eat, it's just whole foods. Like I start off with some eggs, almonds, chicken, carrots, walnuts. Everything's just if God made it, right? If it's not formed, that processed into a different form. The way I see it is, if you can see it in nature, it's probably good for you.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
You're not gonna see Twinkies growing out of the ground, you know. Like if you can, and then that'd be like okay, like then.
And then you can eat them.
Then you can eat them. But yeah, it's I find the healthier you eat, the easier it gets. The unhealthier you eat, the harder it gets, and everything in your life gets affected. Like you just feel more hungry, lethargic, and you're just like, why do I feel so dry? Like, why does everything in my life feel so difficult? And it may just be the food that you're eating, right? That's what's in your mind that's fueling your body. Right?
So true.
Yeah.
And so like even working with kids, like you can so notice a difference when a kid eats like a candy with red food dye. They're literally insane. You're like, what just happened? Like they were sitting there and now they're screaming and running and all these things. And like when you give like kids like very nourishing food, like they aren't out of control. They're not crazy. They're not having temper tantrums. Like, and then again, don't like make your kid fear food, but just when you are giving them those nourishing foods, their behavior like instantly changes, which is crazy. It's like an experiment.
Yeah. I even notice it in myself too.
Yeah.
You know, like when I eat greasy foods, I just don't feel fully myself. Like I can't regulate my emotions as much.
Right.
Like there's a clear connection, right? You just, as a kid, like I noticed back then when I'd eat junk, I just feel I'd feel so grumpy, and I'd feel like I'd want to lash out at my brother, and I'd like talk back to my parents. Like obviously, like there's parenting and kind of like the punishments of like being a kid and running around, but it is a factor. Like it is a major factor that people need to take into account. Which I don't know.
There's no placebo when it comes to kids.
What do you think the state of like the world is going into though, with like obesity rates going, overweight, like they kind of, I hear all negative about it, like with
Hmm.
health in general.
It's hard
Yeah.
to say. I feel like right now, all the content I consume, it's all the other direction of people like slowing down, buying farms, like more home cooked meals. And I think right now, it's so cool what's happening in the States with all the transitions of leadership and some of these people coming in and changing laws and like saying, like, making certain ingredients illegal and all this stuff, I think is really cool. And you look at Europe and they have all of these like restraints and all these different things that they don't allow certain ingredients in their food, and like our foods are full of them, which is crazy. And it makes you think like, okay, if you're not allowed to eat this in Italy, why are we allowed to eat this here? That's crazy. Like all these different food dyes and all these things. So I am actually really hopeful of how things are going. And I think we've like come to an age where like there's so many health issues, and like people can afford medications and people can afford a lot of stuff that people are kind of starting to realize like, oh, like maybe we can like help with this. And I think often we like kind of fall suit of like what the US does. It kind of seems to trend that way. So seeing like a lot of these states like banning certain foods and chemicals and all this stuff in the foods, I don't know. I feel a little hopeful about things, but
Yeah, that's great. Like isn't it like 1 billion people are either overweight or obese,
yeah,
which is nuts, which I hope that is drastically reduced, because in like the 1990s, like it was like half that, or like, oh, it wasn't even half that. It was like
yeah,
way less. But it's just like we learn, right, as a society, as like the world, like, oh, like maybe too much sugar, like all these Coke cans is just causing diabetes and causing
yeah,
heart failure and just blocking out our hearts. And
right.
it's like we eventually learn, and of course, that's when we take action. It won't be overnight. It'll
Mhm.
have to be a lot of regulations, a lot of people, convincing the masses that, hey, we health is a priority. I guess
Yeah,
like number one, I'd say if you don't have health, like everything falls to the wayside. You know,
true.
I think a healthy man has 1,000 problems, but a sick man has one problem.
Right.
Right? Whenever you get sick one day, and it's just like that's all you can think of.
Yeah,
Right?
true. Yeah,
Everything's just, you don't, like work, like family, like the relational issues. It all like disappears if you just have like a massive migraine.
right.
Yeah.
True.
Like people always hear that all the time. Or like, man, I took my health for granted. I was
Hmm.
just out cold for like a week. Yeah. So for people who feel overwhelmed by meal prep and planning, what are a few mindset shifts or tools that can help simplify the process?
I think just knowing why you're doing it and why you want to do it will help you do it. Like if you're like, well, it looks like everyone else is doing this, so I'm just gonna do this. Like, okay, that's not gonna last. Like, you're gonna do it one week and next week you're not gonna be meal prepping. So I think just knowing, like, I kind of caught myself like last week. I had my job changed and I was at home a lot more working from home, and now I'm out and I'm like, I found myself making lunches of just like random things in the fridge, and I'm like, okay, I'm over this. Like, I want to actually be eating meals for lunch. And so Sunday night, it took me like an hour and a half. I just like chopped up a bunch of veggies and like chicken, and I made like these like little wraps throughout the week, and it was great. So I'm like, I know I'm gonna have nourishing meals throughout the week. I know in the morning it's not gonna take me a bunch of time to make a healthy meal. It's gonna take me 2 minutes to just throw it all together and put it in my bag. So I feel like if you're feeling overwhelmed, like kind of like come to like the root of like, okay, why are you doing it? It's to feel healthy. It's maybe to lose weight. It's maybe to feel better. Okay, so set out a time, put it in your calendar, and like keep it. Like don't cancel it for like plans with friends. Be like, hey, like I'll meet up with you an hour later because I need to prioritize this. And have a list, have a plan, ChatGPT, or like
Mm.
go on YouTube, go on Instagram. Like people are so great at this. Like the whole social media is so overwhelmed with content like this, and like find something that you think looks good and just stick with it. Like it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to stick perfectly to someone else's plan. Be like, oh, like maybe I'm just gonna make a bunch of hard boiled eggs and add that to my lunch, and maybe some like veggies and fruits, and there you go. Like it really is like less complicated and takes way less time. And especially when you have a plan, you have your grocery list, you go to the grocery store, have your list so you don't feel overwhelmed when you get there, go home, immediately do it, and then you're just done. you're like, wow, I just saved myself 5 days of cooking in this 1 hour or
Yeah.
two.
What I've realized recently is we waste so much time. Like I
Yeah.
think about it, like I was just like laying on my couch. I guess I was meditating. But I was just like after editing, I'm like, oh gosh, like I need to a breather. But then I'll go on my phone and I'll like scroll
Yeah.
mindlessly, like without any intention,
Mm-hmm.
right? For like 30 minutes. And then I'll, talk to my parents. And I guess that's social interaction, right? But then I'll watch a show, right? And then I'll do the laundry and there's all these things. But in between all those transitions, there's like 5 minutes of like just useless stuff. But like
Mm-hmm.
there's without intention, right? Of course, it's unrealistic to be intentional every single moment. But there's just like sometimes I'll catch myself scrolling for 2-3 hours, which I'm like, oh gosh, not
Yeah.
good, terrible. Or I'll be worrying about things like net negative thoughts. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh
Mhm.
gosh, gotta pray this out, meditate or something, maybe hit the gym. But if you actually apply that to action, which is, Chris Williamson always says that it's the antidote to rumination. Like to action is an antidote to a lot of our worries and anxieties, right? When you
Right.
get into action, everything starts to, make sense and you're
Yeah.
actually progressing somewhere versus if you're just sitting down there, not moving your body and
Mm-hmm.
eating like crap, everything just falls over to the wayside. But yeah, it's about, finding the schedule about like, okay,
Yeah.
you just save yourself 5 days worth of meal prep. What can you fill that time with? If you're gonna fill it with like we're just watching movies and stuff, okay,
Yeah.
maybe you're that's a good thing because you're spending more time with your family that way or your husband, wife, or if it's like alone, maybe that's for you. Maybe internally, that's what God wants you to do. That's what actually nourishes you, so you can go back to the next day. But if not, you could fill that up with exercise. There you got more time, right? Or
Yeah.
you could fill that up with reading. Maybe you've always wanted to read or get more sleep. I don't know, the world averages like 6-7 hours, which is nuts because sleep is
Yeah.
like the foundation for mental and physical health, right? And even that's one thing, but the sleep quality is probably even lower.
Yeah.
It's like we're constantly before, I'm sure the blue light, right?
Mhm.
Melatonin being drastically
Artificial lighting.
yeah. Not it's waking you up. It's not improving your quality of sleep. So that
Yeah.
even itself, even if you get 8 hours, because you're scrolling so much and you're bombarding your synapses of all this stimuli, then you're just not going to get a good quality sleep, no matter how late you sleep in.
So true. And even
Mhm.
with that too, like some of my friends and I will sometimes all get together and meal prep together. And it's so fun. Like, okay, you make this, we'll make this. And then we have like all these beautiful meals. Like it's awesome. And it's so fun. And again, it's like bringing in that community aspect. Like
Yeah.
do it with your family. Like bring
Mhm.
people into it. Like you can make everything more fun.
Yeah, two birds, one stone.
Yeah.
Like I with the gym, like I'll hit workouts with friends to catch up.
Yeah.
It's like not only are you improving physically, you're catching up with them. You haven't seen them in like 4 months.
Totally.
Socially, you're just seeing people there too. And it's just community in there. But yeah, that's a great idea of just everybody coming together.
Yeah.
Or if it's like, health, like studying, like you go to the library with your friends or
Mhm.
you go on runs with your friends, you exchange information and it
Right.
builds to something beautiful, to something great.
Yeah.
know?
And
Yeah.
even instead of like going for a coffee with a friend, like go for a walk with them. Like grab a coffee and then walk with them. Like I feel like there's always creative ways and you just kind of gotta think outside the box a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Or if you're babysitting your kid, use them for bicep curls. You know what I mean?
Haven't tried that yet.
No, you haven't tried that?
Maybe
Do
I
some,
should.
yeah. Put them on their back and just like up and down. That's funny. Yeah. There's a lot of ways that you could
Mhm.
really optimize everything. But then again, if you're so focused, or Alan Watts was it said that if you're so focused on improving your life, you may forget how to live it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? There's also
Totally.
like, yeah, we can like, Alyssa's talked about this where like she like was really big into the self-help where everything was just for improving the mind, body, and soul. Like everything was
Right.
for something, but you forget to actually just live. So just
Yeah.
like chill. You're
Mhm.
living, you're alive.
Relax.
Relax.
Yeah.
That it's just like, yes, we're not going to be here forever. So might as well
Enjoy it.
enjoy. Yeah. Give yourself some grace, you know? Yeah.
I feel like people are really bad at relaxing.
It's terrible.
Like if you're on the couch, like put your phone away, turn off the TV, like just talk. Like, yeah.
Yeah, because your brain's still using power. Like if you're like, is that really relaxing though when you're like still trying to understand like a plot or all this? You're still working. You know what I mean? Like you're not actually, and even when you're just relaxing, you're worried that you're not doing anything, you're bored. It's like, it's another skill to be able to relax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like get hobbies, find something, like get lost in something, like in a book or painting, or maybe it's like running. Like if you find that like I don't know, I feel like running is so kind of like relaxing to me because I'm like, oh, I have no worries. Like I know I don't have to be there till this time. Like it's just like you're just there, or go for a walk. And I think I actually heard, I don't know if you know who Josh Axe is. He's like a naturopathic doctor from the States, but he's like, so many people are so anxious about health stuff. And they're like, well, I've tried this, and this, and I can't do this and this. He's like, just stop worrying about it. Like go get lost in a book, go hang out with some friends and have fun. Like stress is like terrible. Like I feel like it always just comes back to stress. Like just chill, like relax. Don't think about yourself so much and just go do something fun. Maybe go to the mall and go shopping.
Yeah.
Do something.
Call your mom, you know, call your dad. Just send that friend you haven't talked to in a while a text. Gratitude. There's all these things, and there's always a way. That's always want to reinforce, because like there's all these things of like, there's destruction and building, and destruction, it takes 10, 20 years to build this monument, you know, which is your life. And it takes one dynamite, just chuck it in there and everything's gone to the wayside.
True.
But yeah, that's that. Yeah. Do you have any last words for the pod?
Relax.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're a big traveler, hey?
Yeah.
Like you're doing any trips soon?
Nothing planned. One of my best friends is getting married in Tennessee come fall.
Oh wow.
So it's probably the next trip. But other than that, I mean, I'm always dreaming. I'm always looking at WestJet, at flight deals. They just had a great, I'm like, do I go down? Do I go to London in September? I'm like, okay, no, I should relax. But yeah, nothing crazy. But I feel like when I went to Bible schools and international schools, so I have friends all over the world now. So it's honestly makes traveling a lot less costly because you can stay places.
Yeah, no, I was talking to my buddy. He works at Glen Allen, right in the rec center there. And I said that like every time he has to go to Vancouver, right, he doesn't need a hotel. Right. Anytime he has to go to like this country in Europe, that he doesn't need to like book a hotel. And that's like 50% of the expenses. And then you could just, what can you use with that money, you know? But then you also have to return the favor though. Because if they come to Sherwood Park, that you have to give them a place. But then he's like, why would people come to Sherwood Park? You know?
Well, that's just it. I had a friend come from Sweden this year, and she's like, so what do you, it was so cute. She came in from Calgary. Her friend drove her up. Yeah. And she's like, wow, like when I saw Edmonton, I thought of Manhattan. And I'm like, what? And like, it was so, and we actually really liked it. The weather was great, but it was like March and gross and gray and dusty. And I'm like, you should just come in the summertime. She's like, well, I don't have time in the summer, so I'm coming now. And I'm like, okay. But I don't know, like, I'm like, why would anyone come to Edmonton? I felt like the worst host. I'm like, go to WestJet again? Like, I don't really know what we should do, but no, it was great. Yeah.
Good water park.
No one ever comes and visits
Galaxy
me.
Land. So yeah. You're in trouble if you live in Banff, though.
Oh my word. Yeah. Well, that's where we always go. I'm like, oh, you have to see the mountains. And I kind of take for granted how beautiful Banff is. Like, I have a lot of friends that have come and they're like, I've never seen anything like this before. I'm like, really?
Yeah, no, I see the big Rockies and I'm like,
that's fine.
Big rocks, you know? But to them, they're like, with binoculars, like looking at it, take a picture.
And you're like, I guess it is nice. Yeah.
It's pretty nice, you know? It looks kind of gorgeous, funny. But you know, 100 times, right?
So true.
That's funny. Do you have any words for people who may be struggling right now, don't have faith, and want to maybe turn a new leaf?
I feel like my encouragement to you is just try it. Like, you have nothing to lose. Tonight, before you go to bed or where you're at right now, just pray. And if God, just see what happens. And if nothing happens, all right, you tried it and you can move on with your life. But that'd be my biggest encouragement. Just try it. You have nothing to lose. Yeah. Thank you so much again. And as always, to everyone listening and watching,
There is a place for you in this chaotic world. Never lose hope. Strengthen your faith and keep it long term. Alexa Wall, everyone. That's what was the I keep forgetting the handle.
The Natural Holistic Babe.
Yeah, if you want to reach her on Instagram, the Natural Holistic Babe. Got a lot of great tips about how to be healthy, and like I love the little collages you make.
Oh,
really
thank you.
Aesthetic. Yeah. Awesome.
Well, that was fun. I hope that was good.
That was great.